to order at 8:05. And I'm gonna start off by saying Roy has graciously agreed to take today's minutes, but I'll be out there trying to find someone else to do minutes for board meetings before we close out today. So think a little bit about that. He's done a nice job, but he's ready to call it quits for now.
He did it once.
Well, twice.
Kidding.
So anyhow, I'd like to review the agenda. Did everybody get the agenda?
Yeah.
I know there's lots of little sub topics to go under here, and we'll hit on those as we go along. Anything we need to add before we proceed on the agenda? I'm going to take that as a no. All right. The minutes from last month. Very nice minutes. Have you all had a chance to look at the minutes and review those minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Anything to add, correct? No.
No.
It's my last name.
Oh.
My last name has
yeah,
two.
sorry about that.
My last name has 2 T's in it.
Sorry about that.
You should know that, right?
Oh, was that you, Roy? Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry. I did appreciate the help that people sent in with suggestions and improvements, especially around the exhibits. I appreciated that very much.
The other thing on the minutes, it says we're going to leave the inventors women in the church house. And I just want to make sure you all understand we moved those into the invention room so that we could have a room totally dedicated to children. And that's what we did. So I just letting you know we didn't do what we said we were going to do in the minutes.
But didn't you move them into the invention room?
Yeah,
we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we moved them, but we said in the minutes that we were not going to, that we were going to keep them in the children's room.
Okay, just an
But
update.
we moved them. Into
and they look great where they are, I think.
they do.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, are they going to be in the church house? I guess. Or...
No,
they're not going to be in the church house.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Be in the invention room in the web house.
So
Okay,
I think our ladies have had a promotion into the big house here. So
Well, it
I'm
just
pretty
made
happy
more
with that.
sense.
Okay.
And my husband's laughing at me for that comment, in case you didn't hear him. Anything else before we go on to look at some of our reports? I want to change this up a little bit, if you don't mind, before we go to the reports. We have a new board member who's waited several months to get voted onto the board. I would like to make that after the minutes our next action. And so I'm going to put out a proposal that we formally welcome Linda and take a vote on her moving on to our board as officially a member, and asking for someone to second that if I could.
I second it.
Oh, we got lots of seconds. All right.
Good.
We're going to proceed to a vote now. All in favor?
Yay!
Yay, aye.
Both hands.
Unanimous vote. Well, look, welcome on board, Linda. You've helped already, but put your sneakers on.
Oh, she's already got them on, believe me.
Yeah. Thank you, and for coming on board and helping us in all these months of work. And we're very pleased to have you. And I'm glad that we got that done at the beginning of the meeting. We're blind.
And I can vote.
Yay.
That's right.
Finally.
Well, I
can
love
vote.
all of you guys. I think you guys are amazing. I can't believe the work that you do. And I definitely need a pair of sneakers. But what you do and the commitment that you do, I think it's so important. Arts and culture are so important. So people have a lot to thank all of you guys for. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you.
Thank you. And I'm wondering, now that we've done that, and it's overdue, and I'm glad we've done that. I'd like to discuss the fact that our dear buddy here, Deb, is stepping down. Stepping down as of this month or next month, and handing over the reins to Roy in the Treasurer's Department. Is that an appropriate comment to make right now?
Quite appropriate.
The sooner the better, huh, Deb?
That's right. I thought it should have started last year.
Well,
Well, we did have some reservations about you, Deb, but
No, it's just been, I think I've been the treasurer for over 10 years and I think I deserve a break.
oh, I think so. I think so. So let me just ask, oh, go ahead, Madeline.
I don't know if now's the time. I've got space later. Forget it.
Okay. So as far as process with this, should I leave that to the two of you, or are we saying that as of June 1, Roy, you would assume that position or what?
Well, I assume we're gonna get voted in with
Yeah.
all the other officers,
Right.
but
Okay,
That
so
should be today then.
I certainly
Yeah.
would express my great appreciation for all the work that Deb has done, and certainly she's kept me both interested and involved, and I've really enjoyed every chance I got to deal with her and work with her. So I assume that's going to all continue. But she just
I
won't
would
be called the
assume,
president.
I would certainly stay on the finance committee. And I think the only thing that needs to be done, which is a pain in the rear end, is we have to go back to Norway Savings and get all those forms signed again
yeah,
as
Yeah.
Roy, the treasurer, but I don't think anything else needs to be done. I'm happy to stay on. I think I have 2 more years in my timeline for the board members. So you got me at least for a couple of years.
well, that's very fortunate. That's a good thing.
And Teresa, I don't think we voted on the minutes unless you want to just file them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so busy trying to get into voting Linda on that I've jumped the gun here. So with review and approval of the minutes, I'd like to make a motion. Or do anybody have any reservations, any corrections? Are we accepting those?
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay.
Yay, Linda.
Hey, you didn't vote.
It's the first. All those in favor? Okay. Are we ready to move on to reports? And I think we can do something with voting a little bit later on under new business. Is that all right?
Do we have any members on board for our annual meeting?
No.
I
You mean
think there's a
outside?
line out on the deck.
Well, serve them coffee, David, would you please?
Yeah.
And they're actually here to look at the construction site. They don't care what we're doing.
We haven't put out the donation bucket, have we, by the construction site?
No, I think once we have our ground buried, we got to do something to try to get money.
Coffee can with a slit in it.
That's right. Coffee can. All right, if nobody objects, let's move on to the reports. And I'm still getting used to not having a director come in to have a director's report. So I'm just going to refer you to the report that I sent around. And once again, so much of it is contained in other committee reports, but it's sort of a summary of the activities this month, which focus mostly on hiring and all of our construction work. We do have a schedule for a couple of more in-person meetings for director. There's 2 lined up. And tomorrow, the 18th, we have a Zoom meeting in the afternoon with our friend, Matthew Beckman.
And by the way, Teresa, you want me to set that one up?
That would be great. That would be
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what time did you say?
3.
3 p.m. our time. I think it's going to be more like 8 or 9 for him in Amsterdam. But I gave him a window 1 to 3. He chose 3, so I guess he's going to be awake still. Does anybody on the committee want to comment at all about our hiring process and where you feel we're at?
I would.
Okay.
Okay, so next week, early next week, we have a young lady coming, and I just want you to know that just because they're coming doesn't mean this is a person that we're going to hire.
Right.
We just want to explore a little more. And this young lady that's coming, Lena, actually surprised us. Her resume wasn't that strong as far as experience, but she turned out to be quite personable. And we just felt like we needed to give her a little more time. And the one after that will just blow your socks off and exhaust you. So and that might be a negative. So just because they're coming doesn't mean that it's imminent that we're going to hire these people. But we just needed to see them in person and get some more feedback from you guys, because there's no way we're hiring anybody until everybody in this screen has a say.
I'm glad you're doing that, Judy, because I read her resume and it didn't do a thing for me.
Well, matter of fact, the first time I read it, I'm like, Then I talked to Martha and she said, well, that museum is failing. And then Teresa had already set up a meeting with her, basically, I think, on my suggestion. And then I wrote Teresa and said, God, just cancel it. She has no qualifications. But she turned out to be quite interesting and funny. So we just felt like, just give her a chance. Well, we'll see.
Where is she from? I mean,
she's from Germany for real. She came
in North Conway.
Yeah, she lives in North Conway, and it's actually closer to Bridgeton than she works in Wolfboro, this museum in Wolfboro. So
what's the museum?
What?
Which museum?
Is it natural history or what's the name of it?
She talked about
it had animal taxidermy, and it's definitely failing. I mean, it's really on its last legs.
Yeah,
so she's casting about.
The beaver's hand had fallen off, that kind of stuff.
Why is it failing?
What?
Why is it failing?
There's just not good leadership, and they don't have any money, and they're not getting any money, and there's no salary to pay her.
What's her position? Is she the leader?
She's the director, but I think she took a position because she was in a marriage going over there, and I think it's been a process of part-time directorship to an organization that's just not doing well and is probably going to fold.
And Martha said it wasn't doing well before she got there. So
right. But she has a very pleasing personality. She seems very bright. Her responses were good, and she does have a lot of the museum related skills. So I think, she came across very positively. She's worth an in-person interview. May go nowhere, but. And, I just wanted to comment on what you said, Judy. It's been a long time since I applied for a job, but the whole time I was interviewing, you had these in-person interviews, and you could get to sit with someone and see their body language and how they dressed and how they presented coming through the door. You're really handicapped with Zoom. It's a great help. We have been using it, but if you get at all serious about somebody, I think you need that face-to-face to kind of really get the right picture of the person. I mean, I would not be, offering somebody a job without more contact than that. But I was thinking this morning about Matthew Beckman, and I think we have to be a little bit more flexible with him. First of all, the Zoom meeting is coming from Amsterdam. He and his wife are moving. The plan is to move back to Maine in June. And he's a known entity with us. He spent the summer with us a few years back. I think we have a better feel for Matthew. I think we know he's not going to come through, with clothes that don't fit and all these other things that sometimes you can encounter. So I'm just letting people know if we decided to move ahead and it's undecided, we won't know too much until tomorrow evening. We may have to have everybody here attend a Zoom meeting with him, because I, for one, am not in a position of maybe losing him to another job if we really wanted him. That's up in the air. And I also wouldn't want to wait until well into June to be making a decision about this. As we can see, Madeline's working herself to death out there. And I think we're all doing fine and pushing in. But if we have a good candidate, I don't think we should wait around with Matthew, because we have a better feel for him. Does anybody disagree?
Could I go back to Lena just to say that of the four of us, it was definitely not unanimous. I mean, the approval of that particular person was not unanimous. And it was unanimous with that fellow, Brian, or the fellow we really wanted. And he removed his name from the job application thing. So, and that was unanimous. So we'll see how, it's really hard to look at just a person's flat face on the Zoom. And I'm going to be curious to see about Lena. It may be, there may be a different response when she's seen in person.
You know, maybe we have not discussed this, but maybe with Lena or Matt or somebody, some of these really younger ones without a lot of experience, maybe they become the interim for just a while, something like that. We're still getting applications, and some of them are really good and some of them aren't. Could I just talk about one thing a minute, Therese?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so I talked to this woman on Monday named Lori Pasternak, and Martha Cummings had suggested I get in touch with this. Basically, it's a headhunter organization for museums. And I wanted to find out how much it would cost and all that. Well, their minimum is $45,000. So right away, that decision was made. And she said, I was afraid, you know, you being a small museum, it wasn't going to work. But she was so sweet and nice to me and continued to talk and said I could call her and all that stuff. Anyway, one of the things she emphasized is you can't look for a unicorn. In other words, there's one absolute person, that you're going to have to be willing to give up something. If it's museumology or organization or personality or ability to speak, what is it that's really important to us at this time? And I really took that to heart. And I think that the more we interview, the more we're seeing that. The guy with the amazing resume and no personality just isn't going to work for us right now.
There has to be a personality.
Yeah. And we've got to have someone who is willing to go out into the community and raise money. And
yeah.
So anyway, that's my little comment. And she gave me
Judy, I'd like to just add, we did talk to someone named Casey Christensen, who was absolute, unbelievably dynamite. She had all the bells and whistles. And she will be a contender. But as I think one of you said, you will be exhausted at the end of the interview. I mean, she has so much going for her and so much experience that we were all, when we were through, we all went, we're exhausted. So I don't know how that, but I'm just mentioning her name so that you know that we really have been working hard and casting about. Roy knew her the best. Do you want to say something, Roy?
What I want to say is that I think, first of all, I think our little group is working pretty hard, both in terms of time and effort. And I do think that once we interview somebody, frankly, if they have a good interview with us, we're going to want them to come to Bridgeton, or at least have a chance for everybody to meet.
Right. Right.
And I do, you know, the point that was made, well, we're not recommending either of these two candidates at this point. Really, all we're doing is telling you that they had a good interview with us and we're still interested in them. That's what we're saying. And so these two people that are coming in are two people that had good interviews with us and that we are still interested in them. And I guess I would, you know, especially like we just brought up this one woman that we interviewed that I know, I would kind of hold back, you know, throwing out all my opinions about her at this point, just because I think everybody in this group needs to establish their own opinion about what they think. And probably one of the most important points that's been raised so far, I think, is what Teresa said about, do we need somebody with the really emphasis on museumology, or do we need somebody that's going to be really good for us in the community? And we as a group have talked about that a lot. And we've gone, actually, I'll be really honest with you, we've gone back and forth on it. And we did have this one candidate that we brought, of course, our first candidate, who was really had it all. And we were ready to offer him the job, frankly. I mean, that's where we were with him. That didn't happen. But, and I do think, yeah, the unicorn point, that's a perfect point. I mean, we're going to have to, I don't think we should settle. I don't think we should pick a second choice. But I do think there's going to be pros and cons to whoever ends up being the final candidate. And I think all of us are going to have to think hard about both how we feel about that and what we recommend for for the museum to do.
Mhm.
So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, one more point. Yesterday in our grants meeting, it came up about the candidates who are coming. And Linda, who's hired and fired a jillion people, noted that Casey had quite a resume of short jobs. And honestly, I had not realized that. I noticed that on Lena's maybe, but that's the value of including you guys in it once we've, filtered some out. So when Linda said that, I was like, oh my God, she's right. So your input's going to be really valuable.
I would like to follow up with that and say I agree with Linda and Judy. What I took away from her resume, and the visit is going to tell us a lot, was that she had short time arrangements or some full-time jobs, but it seems as if her career has sort of ended up with running her own business and sort of filling in with some of these other things. There's nothing wrong with running your own business. I'm not faulting her for that, but I think that kind of attributes some of that hopping around, that she was doing her own thing and doing short employment with people. Madeline?
One thing about Casey that I noticed is that her website is not very modern, and it was slightly obscure to find. And I questioned that in some ways. But a second note that I have is that one of the perks about Matt is longevity, in that the older the candidate, the less time they'll be with us, and kind of growing the brand. We're at a renewed place of having a third building, and we're going to be changing the entity we are. And I just feel a bit of pause with some of the older candidates. I felt it with Brian when Brian said, I only have about 15 more years in me. And that's when it occurred to me that we really want some longevity here.
I think you made a good point. And it occurs to me, we looked at Brian and said, boy, he's got everything we want here. Well, of course he does, because he's had 30 years in this particular business. He's been able in each job to develop those skills. That's part of the unicorn of the trade-off is, do we go with someone who's probably might have good skills and we like what we see, but they've got to develop a few areas because they're younger. They finished their graduate degree recently or not that recently. So we're going to have to weigh all that. Linda?
I think you're right on. I would go back to Judy's point that for me, personality and leadership are it. And if you have leadership like that guy, Brian, and he can do all these things, but no personality, he's not going to be able to lead the organization in my mind. And if you have all that personality, but have no idea to effectively push something forward, which is the skill of experience, of course, then I would say you got somebody who can say a lot, but can't do anything. And so I think those two are really, really important. And I do think that leadership is kind of innate, and you're going to know it right away. And it generally goes along with personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
It generally does. But you can't have an academic or somebody who's not been public facing sitting inside the museum in paperwork, right? And so I think all of those are just bundled into personality and leadership,
Right.
Facing and inwardly effective.
Right. And I think you can get some of that from Zoom, but it's really nice to spend a little bit different time with someone to kind of see what comes through there. So we'll just do the best we can. There's one more resume that came in and I didn't look at it closely until this morning.
There's a mistake in the first paragraph.
Yeah, there's some weird language in that. I'm confused by it.
Well, it's also, there's a big stretch of time between an undergraduate, when he got his graduate degree, and I don't see that the jobs that he was doing in that period of time relate to what we're doing. It seems like a lot of other things. And I think it's fine to get someone with a new graduate degree, but you'd like to see some indication that they've got experience in what you need, and not, it's fine. He taught school and everything. That's a nice thing to do, but that's not what we need.
So
Anyhow.
one thing I got to say about Casey that did impress me is she specifically asked us about Madeline. Does Madeline want this job? Am I going to step on Madeline's toes? I don't want, you know, am I going to get to meet Madeline? So I thought that was an excellent moment in her interview.
It was, and she showed her experience in the workplace by somebody less experienced would be hesitant, I think, to ask those questions. They might think it, but she did show that. But the one thing about her was I did find her very tiring. I can talk too much, so I know it when I see it.
Oh,
hopefully I'm not laughing every other sentence, and I found it a little, but you know, we'll see. She's coming out. We'll see.
She's raised a lot of money for a lot of organizations. I mean, that's very important to us right now.
Yeah.
Can she listen? Did you get the sense?
She said, I'm a good listener. Well, she never stopped talking. So you never heard the listening part, but I think we when we find the right one, we'll lock it in. But you know what? It's an interesting learning experience. It's a very interesting learning experience. Should we move on to something?
Yes. I'm thinking if there's anything else on my report to you. David's going to go over a lot of the construction stuff, and I know what we'll be hearing more about financials from Deb and for Roy. So I think we should move along to other reports. Deb, would you like to step up and review your
Yes, I'm sorry I had to step out. We've got some damage up at camp. And so that was my son talking to me about just fixing more stuff to do.
Yeah.
We brought in the month of May a wonderful amount of money. We had planned on 8,400 and we brought in over 15,000.
Wow.
So that made me feel very warm and fuzzy for my final meeting of the treasurer's report.
Rub it in, Deb.
And I'm really, what did you say, Madeline?
I said, rub it in, Deb.
Just when you get in the hang of this, you're going to leave.
And we did really well. The sponsorship for the house tour, we've gotten just the house tour sponsors over $2,000. And I think more is coming in. So we've already made $4,500 before we've sold a ticket.
Wow.
And usually our outgo is less than $1,000. Basically, it's tickets and maps. So, you know, I'm optimistic that we can really get out with advertising and make a bundle on the house tour. The only bad thing in income is we had planned on 4,000 from Circle of Friends and we got nada. So that's where the big discrepancy is. And that's what's...
I just got some Circle of Friends.
Yeah, but this is just for the month of...
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Last month of April. So the net revenue for the month of April was $10,486.
Oh,
Nice.
Hey, Deb, can I ask a question?
Well, in a minute.
Okay.
But you know, again, we need to really pat ourselves on our back. We never, ever spend what we think we're going to spend on expenditures. So that's what's really helping us is, I think it's twofold. I think when the budget was made, a lot of effort was put into what was an outgo, and Carla hit it. Carla hit it on the nose because we spend probably $1,000 to $2,000 less than we normally budget.
Excuse me.
And that does, you know, make a big difference when it's times 12. January through April, we anticipated $37,350. and we showed a balance of 37,058, which means we were within $291 of what
I
we
saw that.
anticipated. So, I mean, that's kind of cute, I thought.
Yeah.
And you've got the building fund beginning balance and what we're doing there. And our net operating revenue through April is now minus $2,403. And I believe when we started in January, it was 9 or 10, Roy.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we can promote this for every month for the rest of the year, we'd be in happy heaven.
Well, two things, Deb. One, of course, some of that savings has got to be attributed, I would say, to not having an executive director in.
Absolutely.
So we're
Absolutely.
gonna that hopefully will change before too long. And I just wanted to ask a question, a comment. I'm kind of hopeless when it comes to looking at all these numbers. You had one line item here that talked about the total that we've, and the capital campaign talks about this, the total that we've been pledged, the total that we've brought in, and the total that we've expended. How are we looking in that category? I know that there's some big item checks that have gone out recently.
Well, I think it's going to be tight. We have, I think, we have the budget that Roy did for the building fund that Madeline sent out. And I think we have what, 100, what's the next draw?
I don't
total,
have it
David?
yet. I don't have it yet, but it will
I
be
mean,
big.
Has Eric estimated, didn't he, David?
Yeah. He estimated that he would already have hit us with the next one. So I would assume that we're going to probably get one that's going to be over 100,000.
It's going to be.
I think it's, I want to say in the back of my head it's 107, but I might be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's right in that range, yeah.
And then, you know, and as Norm says, he said, you know, with these treasury bills coming, I think we're all set.
Yeah, I think we are too. I just, I'm a nervous budget person. So I'm trying to look at these and just say, you know, this is what we've had, this is what we've raised. This is what we projected for this budget cost. This is sort of like the percentage of the work, and are we doing okay? I think we're doing okay.
Well, the issue I think on this is that, and we've known this right from the very beginning, that our heavy expenditures were going to be concentrated at the beginning of the project. That starts out with big hits and then kind of tapers off to more moderate draws. So there's not, as far as I can see, there's nothing unexpected that's been going on. And if anything, it looks to me as if we're coming, Eric is doing a terrific job of controlling costs. I see him analyzing stuff and talking to subs every single day. And he has done, I think, an exceptional job in keeping our costs down and driving the best deals that we can get. And if you think about it, that's kind of a little counterintuitive, because of the higher he bills, the more money he makes. So for him to do that is, to me, shows a huge commitment of his to the museum. You know, he already dropped his fee from the standard is 10% of the project price, and he dropped it. I think he's at 3.7 or something. So he's made, if you run those figures based on our projected total cost when we started, he's made a $90,000 donation to the museum. So all of that long-winded baloney is to say, there's nothing surprising that I see in the expenditures at this point. They're high, but we knew we were starting out high, and then it kind of slows down.
I think one of the biggest things we should pat our backs on is the fact that when you're asking for the money we're asking for, a lot of people pledge and say, I'll do it in 3 years. We have raised 1.5 in money.
Yep.
And
That's
to
pretty
me,
amazing.
that's quite a statement that these people believe in what we're doing and are putting the money up front. So we don't have to go borrow it. We don't have to, beg and plead. But we need to beg and plead on June 9th.
Yeah.
But at least we have something to show for it now.
Absolutely.
It's not a vague promise for the future. Someday we're going to get going. Take a look. There's the concrete.
And I would
Yeah.
say that the biggest thing for the month of June and July is that we need to really get together and do direct mailing of every damn person we are known to. And we can probably get $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 from it. There are people out there that we haven't hit that are capable of giving us $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and $5,000.
Right.
And we need to find them.
Yep. So Madeline, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yep, I got two things. One, for the draws. I may be wrong in saying this, but I got the sense that Eric Wisman doesn't want to wait 15 days to get a check when he presents a draw.
Yeah.
So who's the person that's going to get the T-bills from the bank, because the next draw is going to require that?
Norm.
Norm Nicholson?
Yeah.
Does he know that time is of the essence?
No.
Okay. Do I get in touch with Norm?
I have a real problem. He
What?
signed a contract that when he needed to draw, we had 15 days to come up with it.
Yeah, that's the deal.
And that's the deal. And that's how we work.
We should do it with all reasonable haste, but I don't think we need to rush to pay him ever. We have
Why,
15 days, so we should
why
be
do you
able to
feel,
do it.
Madeline, that that's the case? Was it a
That's
conversation?
the sense I got from draw two, that he was antsy to have the check signed by two people.
We told him that when his draw came in, we would process it at least through the approval process immediately, or as fast as we could. He is in no way have I heard him say, when I give you the draw, I need the money the next day. Nothing like that. As a matter of fact, he does not want, or he won't be giving us a draw on the first of each month or any specific dates. As the bills that he's paid accumulate, he will get back to us. It may not be on a strict monthly basis. It won't be any more than any shorter than that time period. But I don't think this is. I think we're manufacturing an issue. I don't think it's any pressure from his end.
So David,
My
why don't you
point
just
was,
talk to
who's
him?
talking to Norm?
I'll talk to him again. I'll see him in the next day or so, and I'll talk to him about it. But my feeling is that it's a non-issue.
What were you saying, Madeline?
My point was, who contacts Norm?
Judy, you're the one that should be able to answer this, because we discussed it in the capital campaign meeting, that Norm spoke to the bank that as the treasury bills come due, he's not reinvesting them.
Right.
No.
They go right over into
That they go right over, they're transferred. I don't know who does the transfer, but it's transferred into the operating checking account, Madeline.
I think it goes to a money market and then into checking.
So probably we need to speak to Kurt.
No, I don't think, wait a minute. They're due on a regular basis.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got
And
the
then
next one for May, plus or minus $85,000.
Okay, and that goes to the money market. So that, I think there's the problem, getting from the money market to the checking account.
Right.
It's not a problem. I think that at this point, either Teresa or Deb can call it over. But Madeline, we have a 15-day deal with the guys. So
Okay, that's less of the point. The point was, how do we get it? Because I know we need it for the next draw. That's all I'm asking. And I'm getting the sense I talked to Judy.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
talk
for
to me
now.
and then I'll figure it out. Okay.
Okay, my second point has just been lost. It was payroll. Deb, moving forward, those transfers that happen from operating to the payroll account, they're automatic. Do I need to be keeping my eye on that?
Well, I didn't, you're the one that told me they were automatic. I had made the comment to Carla that because of our past history and the fact that sometimes people couldn't get paid, that we wanted 6 months of payroll in the payroll account.
Okay, the bank won't talk to me, so can you just make sure that those transfers will keep happening?
I think that will be Roy's job now.
Yeah,
You're right.
That'll be my job.
Because they won't talk to me.
I know.
Payroll won't give me my own pay stubs when I ask. But I just want to make sure, that's one of my concerns, is that Carla set that up. I don't have control over it. I want to make sure that those are going to keep happening.
So they're not going to speak to Roy either until we finalize the switch, right?
Until we vote on it and we give them our corporate resolution. That's right.
And you have to, when I talked to the bank about changing the stupid debit card, it was an act of God. You have to give the minutes of the board meetings and all that happy hoorah just to get a new card. My concern is I would wait until if we feel that we've got a director that's going to be fairly soon, I wouldn't want to go through it 2 or 3 more times.
Yep.
But there's a lot of automatic payments taken out of that debit card. So we
12.
need it.
I've come up with 12, but there's more.
Yeah.
So how do we resolve this?
Deb? I just wanted you to know I'm being patient. I'm still waiting to ask my questions. So
well, we haven't answered the other ones yet, Beth. You're still here. You're still
here. I'm still waiting. I just want you to know that.
I just wonder, for the short-term fix, if you're able to do this one more time, Deb, and then Maria and I will get ourselves down to the bank with the backup that they need to switch this over. Or is that necessary? Is something going to come out of these accounts or need to come out in the very near future?
See, Madeline says, Carla says that the payrolls that is, transferred from our operating into the payroll account is automatic. I was unaware of that. I thought Carla made the decision knowing how much was in the payroll account and how much more needed to be transferred. So I don't know the answer to that. It is so confusing when you have to talk to 8 different people to get one simple thing done.
Roy, would you and I like to make an appointment with Aaron Nelson to just go down there and straighten this out?
And we'll get this all straightened out.
All right.
It's
okay.
Really
so let's talk about that, because the last thing I want is any delay in people getting paid.
That's right.
I just texted Carla to ask if there's a schedule.
Okay. All right. And so let's, you and I think about that, Roy, what we have to do.
Yeah.
In the minutes today, we'll reflect the transfer of your position.
We have to vote. We have to vote on that.
Yeah.
There, Beth.
What's up?
My turn. And this is because of the last month we had a $9,433 loss for the year. What is the account at that point now?
I told you, minus $2,403.86.
Okay, so the minus 2,000 whatever is, I want to make us even, and that's, so we hopefully have this month to make that even.
We're catching up.
We're catching up.
Okay. The other thing, and you may not know the answer to this, but I read over the building and sustainability thing, and I really clutched when I saw that the grand total is $2,300,000 something. Is that really what we're aiming toward?
Who's it
right here, $2,563,700 for the grand total of the building.
Where's that number?
Okay, you sent out the new building and sustainability phase 1 and 2. Maybe that's just phase 2. but on the second page, it says grand total.
Beth, that includes the money that we kind of dreamed of getting to.
Okay. I was worried that that had become a reality, and Judy and I were going to hang ourselves. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. So, yeah, thank you. You got
I think, you know, what really helped this year, you know, in terms of the income is we got the, you know, the Dorothy Sambrin internship money. We got the camp and scholarships money. So, I mean, they're all pretty restricted, but it's stuff that's budgeted in and it all came in.
And we're not paying a director.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've paid $23,000 through April for payroll.
I do want to mention before I forget, and David isn't even aware of this, that Don Eilertson called and left a message when we were out last night, and he said he is sending along the Circle of Friends payment. I'm assuming that's $1,000. I don't know. He said it's not a check. I think they do a transfer for something for those monies. So keep your eye open for that. That's nice to know that we've got another $1,000 coming in there. And they're going to be up, I think he said, next weekend. So we have plans to get Ginny's sign up before they
good
hit the gift shop.
Mm-hmm. Should we have a little sort of presentation or invite him to the museum and let him see? Dave Johnson is putting the sign up. It's very nice, and we made a decision on a good location for it.
I invited him down to clean up.
Especially the toilets. I think those still need to be cleaned, Dave.
Maybe he could be there when you put the sign up and he could help level.
Yeah, why don't we wait?
We can ask him to do it.
Why don't we make that a little ceremony?
Now let's ask him to do it. No, okay. Well, we can talk that later.
Is there anything else in this area before we continue with reports? Maybe I shouldn't ask that. How about our events and education reporting?
I'm trying to find my notes. Wait a minute. I had them all ready.
You're right there, Deb.
The only thing we found out, Diane called me day before yesterday saying that one of our people who was for the house tour is very ill and is undergoing chemo and infusions, and so she has had to back out. So we need one more house. We have Anne got the person to fill up for the Stone House. So we need one more house. Now I think I can ask you this, and hopefully you'll be honest with me. I am thinking of calling Margaret Sanborn.
I was thinking the same thing.
To see if she would open her house. I know Drew is better. Their house is lovely. She gave me, you know, what they've done with it since they've been in it. And I don't want to get her wrath if she thinks that's very presumptuous of me.
Oh, I think it's a wonderful.
You're not telling her anything.
Pardon?
Not if you ask. I mean, you're not telling her anything. I mean, I don't think it's a presumptuous ask.
No, I don't either.
It's a compliment.
And I mean, you can tell her about the Cleves house. I mean, you can tell her that it never, you know, we wouldn't have bothered her with this except that one of our I would say more special houses has a real history in town.
Yeah, and you're a second or third option.
Oh, and you know, there's some wonderful history. There's some wonderful history in the Bridgeton book.
That's the point I would make with her.
Yes.
The house with probably the most history. I mean, the Cleves, I mean, they're all over the place. I talked to her for a long time the other day. You know, she can't talk for very long, but she knows where all the Cleves are buried. They donated the monument in the town. I mean, they had a lot of history. I'd like to see another house that has history that people know about. I've been all through the book, you know, reading the histories, and we don't have anything that's close to that. But you know, they're related to the Ingalls and the Sam. I mean,
Oh yeah, the Wilkins. So all right, I will go ahead and call her today and talk to her.
She might be very flattered. You know,
well, I hope so,
quilt
because
every time.
you know, with their photography and what they do, I mean, I can imagine it would be a good thing to do.
Yep.
All right, I will report back on that.
I would also mention to her, Deb, the connection of their support for our intern every year and how that really binds us
that's right. Yeah.
To her late mother-in-law.
Yep. All right. I will talk to her today.
Linda, what were you saying?
Me?
Linda,
I totally agreed. Margaret would be pleased to hear that, and we'll say yes or no.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madeline?
I'm starting to feel a pinch with this event. And if people have the histories, please get them to me.
Okay.
I need to start getting stuff moving very soon. And the pinch is real.
Okay.
And have we written a letter to our house people who
No,
have
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I've got that slated for the last week in May, first week or by June 1st.
Okay.
And so we really have to firm this up soon. Yep. Or else I'm going to freak out.
Madeline, would you mind, it might be an oversight if I don't say something, but would you mind sending a thank you note to Eileen and Frank Russo for the Cleves house?
Somebody spoke
I'm
about
going to write her a note. I'm going to write her a personal note. And I will do that.
They want to do it another year. I mean, they're so excited about this. That's the other thing that's too bad.
That's good. That's good.
The only other thing under events, and I can't find my notes, but anyway, you have them. I really think with our campaign and everything that we should try to get into the market thing, the Saturday market every week.
I sent that out in an email and got no response.
Well, I know you did,
but
that, you know, they're full.
They're filling up. Then I forward that along and got no response. I can't commit to being in two places at once. So
I'm not asking you to. I will get a hold. If you send me Zoe's phone number, who is in charge of the tables, I will talk to her and take on the, you know, with Peg and with our sign up. Maybe we can get at least every other week covered at the open market.
I'll definitely do some of those. No problem.
Okay. I'll send it to Linda too.
I will too. My Saturdays, next couple of ones don't work out because I've got friends of the library commitments.
And I'm leaving too this coming weekend, but
I will definitely take some turns there.
Yeah.
Well, I would think we really, you know, I would hit for the 1st of June. You know, we got 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Because we're not even open yet. So we got to, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
I will take that on.
I'll work with you on that.
Write that down quick.
If you decide that you, once you know what weeks you want to participate.
And I will, I also, I meant to tell Madeline, we're still working on the genealogy for the kids as a project for the children, probably this fall. Yes, Peg.
Can we go back to the farmers market or Saturday deal? I was saying, if you, Deb, decide what dates we're going to participate and you want to sign up Genius Calendar to distribute just to board members,
that's what I would do. And here again, I don't think it needs to be every week. If we could get every other week, it's going to be a good turnout.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what the dates are, Peg.
Yeah, well, really. I think that we just have to be mindful of what else you know there is going on.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so you got when you pick them, let me know. I'd be happy to make a calendar.
Will do.
Okay.
Peg, I don't know where you're going. I was going to ask you a question. We're taking a trip with Peg.
Yes, we're taking a trip. To the coffee machine.
Two things I wanted to ask you, Peg, and certainly if I can help with this, it's fine too, but during the orientation for the volunteers, I know that we were really hoping to get volunteers interested in doing some committee work if they were areas they were interested in. And the second thing, would you be talking to them about Sign Up Genius and maybe expanding that a little bit for some of these needs during orientation?
I'm sorry, expanding what?
Well, I think we said, would it be possible to take, we have the regular Sign Up Genius and we have the shifts at, the standard shifts at the museum.
Right.
And we were talking the other day of maybe having a second Sign Up Genius available and listing some of the activities that we need representation or work with, and see if some of the volunteers are interested. We can talk about it more later, but is that a possibility?
Yeah, sure. I guess what I was doing was talking to Madeline when I built the regular season one, determining what days we anticipate being really busy, because, for example, it's Bridgeton Day. So on that day, we don't have a need for one docent, we have a need for 4, so those things have already been built into the regular calendar.
Okay.
We can do it, but we can do a separate one for anything. I just think that if we don't want to, probably with that larger group of volunteers, have so many of them that they're having difficulty keeping track of what we really want. So
okay, up to you, however you think it could work. Madeline?
Sign Up Genius has been published and sent out, and we have some people that have signed up, but nobody has signed up for opening day or opening week, but just putting it out there.
I'll sign up for some opening week stuff, opening day.
I think opening day you have a gift shop with Lynn Wellborn, don't you? Is that already filled?
Last I checked, but I was just mentioning it.
Yep.
Okay, Madeline, you can consider me. I'll sign up today for some shifts.
Are we ready to? Oh, I know what I want to do, and this is a question for Beth. On our events, we're talking about preview party that's coming up. What do you need in the way of help for preview party? Where are we at there, Beth?
As far as I know, Diane is doing the decorations. Diane, there's no need. I gave Joe the information that there's no need for tablecloths. They're not.
Does that mean they're providing them? I mean,
no, it means that the tables are not that big. Number one. Number
no,
two.
I mean the banquet. Is it a buffet?
It's a buffet. It's not really a buffet. It's hors d'oeuvres. Remember?
Right.
Are
they going to be put out?
And they'll have tables, and they will have tablecloths on those buffet tables.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean individual.
Okay, I thought you meant individual. And this is not a sit-down dinner.
No.
The plan is that we will have Eric Wispin. I've already talked to Eric. I'm going to take him up to show him the layout. If anybody else wants to go, I certainly will include them. And we'll look at how the setup's going to be. Eric is going to do a short presentation. We're going to have to get everybody to be quiet. That's always a problem, but we can get them quiet. And it's going to be a little 10-minute discussion from Eric of what's going on. The other plan is that we're hopeful that people will say, boy, what a great idea. Looks like you guys are doing great. Here's a check. So we should have some kind of a container there for the checks. And it's 5 to 7. And as you already know, I think I announced it last time, that many of our principal people who've already given have been invited to another party at Stone Mountain. And it's all being paid for by one couple who are the Packards. And so we're going to not have as many people as we had hoped for, especially of the principal people. There's nothing we can do about it. We're committed to the clubhouse. We have $1,500 basically is what it's costing us to put this on. However, we've received 2 donations to the amount of $900, and we've received some other, a little amount here and there. So we're up to about $1,200 to pay the expenses. So we'll certainly have it paid for. We just want to be able to make extra money on it. Yes, Deb.
I wanted to say
Who's-
that I thought we had also planned that Judy was going to speak. Is that right, Judy?
I'm glad.
Yes, we're still working out the program.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, we have the bare roots right now. Yes.
okay.
Who's going to be taking the money? The $20 per head money.
I have no idea.
That would be Ollie. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
be Ollie.
because Grace did it last year with the name tags and the check-in, that's gonna be
Okay.
Ollie.
Okay.
And
I
I
think,
found when those of you who haven't been there, we've totally not gutted, but we got everything out in the gift store and put back in what needed to be there. And in the process, I found a money box, so we'll use that. It's got a key to it.
So
I-
who are you
I moved it
talking about?
upstairs.
The intern is going to take the money?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. I just wanted to make sure there was
You're,
someone there.
you're
we'll
asking
also have-
details and we're not down to the final details. We've got the big picture, but
Okay.
start involving other people in it.
Well, shout out if you need help, Beth.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go on to another reports?
The only other thing I wanted, it's just an aside. You know, we've been working with the American ancestors in terms of the genealogy, because they're the ones that came up with a curriculum in one of their monthly magazines, and Madeline and I checked it out. Well, in last month's the magazine that I got, they actually mentioned the Rufus Porter Museum as being involved in the genealogy.
That's great.
So,
wow.
I mean,
Well,
and
Where
it was
is it?
really funny
Right.
because I opened the magazine and it opened right to that page. And right, the last sentence talks about the Rufus Porter Museum.
Will you send that to me so I can advertise it?
I can.
Thank
Boy,
you.
are we committed now?
Pardon?
Boy, are we committed now?
Oh, I know. We can't, now we got to do something.
Oh, God.
But I was happy about that. That's just one little way of marketing that people say, oh.
Mhm. Oh, thank you. That's great. How about capital campaign? Have we got some reporting?
Yeah, as you
Judy?
noticed, you didn't get anything. Yeah, I'm losing it.
No, sorry.
We're leaving for Maine on Friday morning at 5 a.m. So I'll be there pretty soon. I'm very sorry to say, but we're not getting any donations right now. I think we've gotten less than 10,000 in the last month or two. Obviously, the summer season is coming, and we have a list of people to start working on. We do need to do this public campaign that Deb has mentioned several times. So that's my report. It's not like we're not doing things, though. It's amazing. I go into these meetings thinking, what are we going to talk about today? And an hour is gone. Norm does all this financial stuff. We talk about strategies and our efforts. So we're still working hard. We're just, the results aren't showing as much.
Judy, could I ask you to ask Linda her plans and contribution, the gift?
Yes, this is a lovely thing. Linda, tell everybody you're wonderful. Awesome.
She has two things.
I have two things. Do I have two things? I don't know.
Well, you're 5% of
Yes.
coming. Yeah.
And then the crowdfunding, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, and I'm glad you brought that up because we are gonna, what we are planning to do for a July 22nd live auction that we're having in the gallery. We are planning to donate 5% of all the sales of that auction. So there's well over $300,000 in value. Who knows, what ends up getting sold. But an ideal figure in a check written to you would be like 15 grand. That
Oh
would
my
be
God.
fabulous. So we have 6 artists. They're amazing. I'm just finishing a catalog, and when I do, I will bring one. I don't have it soon enough for any sit-down meeting soon, but I hope we can all get together soon. And I will make sure that everybody gets to see it. They're rather expensive and we need a lot of them, but you'll be able to see that, and there's a digital version. So monetarily what happens is a painting gets sold, 50% of that amount it was sold for always goes to the artist. And then the gallery has the other 50%. And out of that 50%, the gallery is donating to Rufus Porter for the Capital Campaign Fund in particular.
Thank you.
Very generous. Thank you.
Well, we'll make sure
Thank you.
people know that I don't want the artists to donate. I want them to have their money.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's background information. So I think it was best for us to not have that like be the headliner. So it's done sort of very discreetly. The first announcement was in the current Portland magazine, the full page ad. And I believe that one has that we're going to have this live auction. Okay, it doesn't say anything about, it's just an announcement. And then we will start bringing that in. And if you look at the website, apertofineart.com, then it does have the whole live auction up there and how people can do an RSVP. There's no cost to get to the auction. I mean, you're there to buy stuff. So my ask to everyone here on this board is to talk it up. I'll send you guys the digital catalog so you can see some of the artists in our gallery are in museums and incredible galleries in LA and England and everywhere. So this is really great art. We also have just a couple of pieces of sculpture because we decided to do this a little later, and the sculptors can't just produce things that fast. Anyway, so it's July 22nd. It starts on a Thursday with a preview, and we're open normal hours. And then Friday, there's a more preview, but also all the artists will be there from 4 to 6 on Friday. So you can actually go in and speak to them in person, which is really cool. And then the auction starts at 4 p.m. on that Saturday. And for the first hour, again, people are just having fine wines and hors d'oeuvres, and then promptly at 5, the auction starts to 8. And we have an amazing auctioneer coming from Vermont, who I worked with in other nonprofits that I was in over there. He does these more intimate, not like, bam, 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 bam auctions. In Connecticut, in one night, he earned $3 million for, in one night. Now, they obviously had $3 million worth of value sitting there. So anyway, he will be very entertaining. People will have a ball. Some of you have been to the gallery. We always have fun anyway on opening night. So talking it up, as you know, for the Capital Campaign and for something like this is how it really gets done. There's 40 seats and room for probably another 15 or 18 standing room. The RSVP is really simple, and you can do it 50 million ways. It just says that you're going to go, and if you RSVP, you get one of those seats until they're gone. And the last thing to know is we want to fill those seats with people who buy paintings, right? That's what I'm really focused on. And normally we just want people to come and enjoy the art, but this is about making money for the gallery for sure, because we need to get started on that. But I really think that we can fill those seats and we can sell those paintings and do this. So on that, I also want to say, I have to apologize. You will not see $1,000 check from me personally on our preview, or whatever we want to call it, night at the golf club, because I need to make some money first. But you will get it from me. I will give it to you as soon as I have extra money. Then just a reminder, I think we decided to do something in August to entertain our high donors in the gallery and do a lovely wine tasting. And so whenever anybody wants to talk about that, I'm ready. I do want to show you something. Okay, for that preview party, I promised some nice bottles. So this one, see if I can get it. This is a Stu Mueller. They're a really small winery in California, Sonoma. This is a Chardonnay that is just so delightful and more of a classic Chardonnay. I had these two whites available. And then this one from 32 Winds is unbelievably beautiful. This is a Chardonnay that people probably aren't used to. It's very complex. So these will be donated to your wine grab. I will give you some paperwork on it because I think if Bill is still serving the wine, he would really have fun with this because they give you some beautiful paperwork that explains the wine and where it came from and why it's so great. So also, and then also, and lastly, we talked in the capital campaign committee about doing some crowdfunding, right? And I finally got to look at the 50 million offerings that they have and suggested a specific platform. Beth can always remember it's Give a Fly or something. I forget. Anyway, I can send anybody.
Give the Fly. Give the Fly.
There you go.
It's Give Lify.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that. Give Lify. It's a great, simple platform. What we're going to do right now is you just sign up for it. So I didn't sign up until we talked about it. The platform is completely free, which is unusual. Most of these things you have to make a payment to. And then they handle all the money and they charge 2.9% plus 30 cents for each transaction, which is less than, Square and other ways we could do this. So it looks really good. So what I will do is register the museum, look more on the platform, and then give you a little report on that. It'll take me into next week to do it, but we'll get back to it. And we could start this ASAP. Madeline's all ready to do whatever marketing she has to do on it. As soon as we kind of finalize the message, the ask, and if we're going to go with this platform. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you in many respects.
Aren't we going to go with the platform? Is that really an open question, or is that?
Well, I think I just wanted to get the permission to go sign us up and let me tell you more about it. I think it's a really great platform. And you also tasked me with the first pass at trying to write the language that we would ask. There's a lot of tips and information on this platform, so I can kind of tailor it to their advice because I've never done a crowdfunding thing. And I'm sure that there are certain things you're looking for, just like grants. And then I want everybody to approve that. So I'm going to get that to you, not as early as we're meeting next week, but probably by the end of next week. And then,
so you'll be sending it around to folks to kind of just make sure everybody looks for it. Okay.
Absolutely. And what it involves administratively, I don't think it involves much than just categorizing it as it comes in.
Okay.
I think that the timing sounds good because maybe kicking this off right after our groundbreaking ceremony might be a good sequence. So the timing sounds good. Thank you.
Linda, is it something that stays in place for a long period of time, or do you have to establish a window when you first set it up, or is it?
So those are great questions, and I don't really know all of that. I think that there would be a specific period of time for us, right? You want to kind of close it down at some point. And I think those are the things that I can just take a pass at and present to you guys, and then we can fine tune it.
Okay.
Okay.
Roy, how about Finance Committee? Any report we have here?
Well, the Finance Committee did meet. The report is included with the board materials that were sent out. I think the budget is going to be next month for the building, and I'm going to go through it and try to upgrade it. I already talked to Eric about it once. he identified 2 or 3 major things, one of which is going to come up, I think, later on in Dave's report about the insurance.
Yes,
But,
yes.
he also brought up the ERV system. So I'm gonna throw out a number of 7,200, but I still don't really know what that is. He brought up the putting in the propane tank as potentially being $6,000. I'll put that
No,
in.
that's
something
no, there'll be no cost on that. We've changed,
Oh, okay.
we've changed that. So yeah, that's, we're not going to go with an underground tank.
All right. But I'll put together a revised budget that'll have some additional detail in it, ideally to address all of the items that we really don't have budgeted yet. But I think it's still going to be somewhat of a work in progress. But by next month, the board will see an updated budget that will have some, I guess, items in it to at least look at and know about, and maybe even to decide upon. But that's all I have to say about that. I mean, other than that, I don't really, we had some specific questions and at the meeting, and I think they've all been answered. So that's all I would say about the finance committee. Does anybody have any questions about the report?
When's the next meeting?
23rd.
23rd?
May 23rd at 8 a.m.
So that's going to be a really busy day. So they're at 8 a.m. The CCC is at 9 a.m. and the meeting with Casey is at 10. So we're meeting at the museum.
We are meeting at the museum.
Good incentive for short meetings.
Casey's the 31st, I thought.
Yes, you're right. That's
Lena.
23rd is Lena.
Lena's the 23rd.
That's at 10 to 1:30.
Yeah.
The finance committee meetings are always short.
And we do keep our capital campaign ones to 1 hour.
Yep.
For Deb.
Now, I know you sent out a report too for grants, Roy, that I read this morning.
I know we had a meeting last night at 4 o'clock, so I just got up early and wrote that. Let me bring it up here. Sorry, guys. The grants committee report certainly gives some updates. I think everybody knows about it. The Ham Foundation, kind of like the disappointing result from that. We talked about that. We talked around it quite a bit, but we obviously need to have a strong, I phrased it in that last sentence, we need a stronger pathway and approach to the foundation board. We don't really have one. I think we're both not really thrilled with the amount that we've gotten, but at the same time, really thankful that they've now, supported our capital campaign 2 years in a row. Maine Community Foundation said no. I think Beth got some information about Brick and Beam that we shared. It's in the report. The Davis Family Foundation, Carla, one of the last things she did was submit that proposal, and they came at us with a couple questions a couple weeks ago, which I answered as best I could. But what they're concerned about is kind of the overall concern of the grants committee, is our ability to come up with a confident and firm time frame and budget for the building. So I reassured the Davis Foundation that we would be building out that building this year and buying the storage materials and installing them before the end of the year. So that's, if we can't do it, we'll have to, if we get the grant and we don't do it, we'll have to go back to them and discuss it. But that's where that stands now. I assume we're going to get an answer from the Davis Family Foundation right off. And then the Libra Foundation thing, again, now the next deadline is the 15th. And that's probably, we spent the longest amount of time talking about just, the whole detail that we need to try to make a good proposal to the Libra Foundation. And our hope still was that we were going to get kind of like a development of the perch proposal to kind of turn it to the next level. And I don't know where that is. So that's kind of up in the air to me. And I don't know if that's something we could spend a few minutes talking about right now with the whole board, but is there still a commitment to doing that, or is there one? And if so, where are we headed? I guess that's my question.
I was under the impression that we would take the basic points from Perch, and when we finished with them, the offer was out there, you know, that they could consult on where we were going next and everything. Not that I don't think we should be spending more money with them, but I thought that their report was the jumping off of us putting together our AV capacity, which would mean getting down to Tucker and Tucker and getting more final decisions. Perch made some general comments about what they thought we should do with the 2 existing buildings, but really focusing on our capacity in the new building. So I kind of thought that was the connection to Perch for what we're already sort of paid Perch. That's gone out. The check went out yesterday or today. I'd like to see if we could get them to give us funding to do what Perch recommended with our AV work. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, what they were recommending is going through this whole discovery phase where we build out more specifically what the exhibits in the new building would be, and then how the AV would be used.
Yeah.
I guess that's the missing piece, I think, in terms of what I'm trying to say in terms of grant writing, what they presented and what you're saying, Teresa. I mean, I think that, you know, just what is the exhibit and what are we going to do besides just have some AV? I think just asking for AV is going to be a tough ask with foundations too, unless we have a program that's connected to it, you know, something specific.
So I think they gave us some pretty good general recommendations about switching things up with our campus, having each building having maybe a main theme, you know, the church house turning into more of the New England and primitive arts, the gift store building, or the web house being more, you know, introduction stuff to Rufus Porter, what he did, the history and Maine history and all that. And they really think that after we get the exhibit upstairs in the new building, we should be focusing an awful lot on the ingenuity part with the downstairs, with the building, with the space that we have open. You know, they really thought that the ceilings and the space there lent itself to some pretty exciting and creative stuff. So, you know, it would be nice to have them come on board when the time comes, when we're actually setting things up and bring them back. But right now I'm wary of saying, okay, Perch, let's spend more money on you when we really need the AV stuff. Judy?
But right now is the most important time, because once we are starting to put the walls up, we don't want to do invasive stuff that could be pre-wired or pre-planned. I just think right now is when we really need to be working with them.
Diane?
We do have a wall in that great room that is, I mean, haven't we focused on setting that up for AV?
Yes, I think what we need to do, and I'm not disregarding Perch, what we need to do is to take the building design, the electrical work, and go down to the AV people and get some ideas. We seem to be really stalled on what they can offer us, what they would recommend. And we do have 3 different levers from Perch. And I'm telling you, quite frankly, some of them are over the moon. It would take half of the rest of what we have left to do what they're recommending.
Linda has a comment.
Yeah, Linda.
I think just that what Judy just said is really important and right. I think what we really need is, if we're going to try to put some grants together, then the way that Perch report was laid out, there were 6 or 7 specific programs that they were recommending. And I think that we had talked about, I thought the design committee looking at those programs and saying, let's do, you know, $189,000 worth, the first 2 or something like that, not 600,000. Because then doing a grant, we could take that report and give our reasons for exactly what we want the money for. It is to discover and put that thing together. So I think that that's something that the committee would really need to have, some very specific things so that we can explain a program the best way we can put it forward. But to the other point, I think you guys are running all the cable, and I think David told me that's going into the walls.
Right.
But that's not the end of it. And Judy's right, like those walls are actually being made now. And I am confident that they've got chases and other things, because usually cities have those. Okay, so, but the better that we can narrow down where those plugs are, what kind of plugs, how many, all of those kinds of things, right? Then the better off you are. And so I think now is the time to be able to look at that and say, here are the programs that we want to do now, and also really look at what needs to be done for the future if you carry out everything. Judy?
Didn't Perch say that they wanted to work with Tucker and Tucker? Wasn't there?
They said that they would, but
Okay,
I think
so
it's
that's a real positive for us.
so I'm certainly open to that, but I think the time has come to get down to Tucker and Tucker. Perch said they would be the ones to show us the actual availability of what we want to put in. And I'm sure they'd show us many different options. And if we wanted then to say, you know, to go back and say we need to work with Perch as well, that's fine. But
well, what I was trying to say is, like, Perch gave us suggestions, and if you're going to go talk to Tucker and Tucker, I thought the plan was that we were going to all look at those suggestions, take the recommendations, you know, of the design committee on what you wanted to do, because then you have the actual program that you want to put in. And if you do want to do the rest of it, then that can go to Tucker and Tucker right now.
right.
And then they would know what they may need to do for the future stuff. Likely one thing serves the other.
Right.
But don't you need to give them something specific about the programs that you really
Yes.
want to start now?
Right. So, you know, I'm certainly open to whoever thinks the next steps. I thought to go down and see what Tucker and Tucker had to offer. Then if we pull Perch in, that's fine. But I also don't want to spend another $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 with Perch. I'm worried about that.
No, I understand that. I think you're taking what you just spent, that report, and saying,
Yeah.
here's
Yes.
the kind of things we want to do, Tucker and Tucker.
Right.
They can respond to that. But somebody needs to decide the sequence of those things.
That-
But no,
that's-
I don't think you have to
yes.
pay them anything at this point.
The other thing
Yes.
is, if we have something to show to Libra, then we personally aren't spending another 10 or 12,000. We're trying to get them to kick in and make it better than.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But we have to be able to make our case.
Right. So I know Roy and I talked about going down to Tucker and Tucker. I don't know whether you and I or anybody who's interested should get together, review the Perch recommendations and get a time to go down and sit with them.
I think that sounds really good,
That
Teresa.
sounds great.
Yeah,
Okay.
at least that's a start. I do,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have any background whatsoever in dealing with this whole exhibit consultant field or the whole kind of development of exhibits to the extent that I guess I hope this museum is going to do moving forward. And I do think that the Perch report gave us a little taste of it, and it seemed really exciting. And it is going to cost us money. I mean, I don't know how much, and I don't know what it should be for exactly. I mean, you can only go so far having consultants tell you what you should do before you,
Right.
you know, actually develop it yourself. But
Right.
at the same time, I don't know, like, honestly, I don't have any expertise or even like the remotest amount of experience in this, except as a museum goer. You know, that's it. So, and having the little bit of experience talking to other museums about how they do this, they either have outside people come in and do the whole thing and they're like, you know, basically paying them, or they're just a couple staff people get together and just throw stuff up and put it together and they think it's a good idea. And they've got a lot of experience as volunteers or staff people, and that's what they're leaning on. So I don't know. I mean, those are super general comments I just made, and I don't mean to be insulting or flip about it either, but I just think that this is an area that to some extent we should spend some money on. How much, I have no idea. And we should have a much more expert view of it than we have in our group right now. I don't know.
I just feel like we're kind of stymied, and therefore we just kind of it's going to get put aside because none of us know what the hell we're doing.
I mean, Peg, do you have any background with this kind of these kinds of people or this kind of process?
Only on a limited basis, and not so much from scratch where you've got a new building that you want to house new things in and everything else. That's a whole new ballgame. And what's resulted from their discovery phase is kind of, they put together 2 programs that kind of took 2 different approaches, and so made us think about how would we use the Webb House, how would we use the church house, how would we use the new building. It's just that in order to implement some of the things that the themes and that kind of thing that they talked about, it's almost like for that first initial fee that we paid with the discovery phase, we're a little stuck unless we go forward with an additional expense with them in order to make those kind of changes. Even like simple things that how is the first floor going to look at the new building? I mean, he talked about wall wraps, and I think that's a really great way to not spend a ton of money. But I mean, we need to make those kind of decisions based on, where's the interactive going to be? We talked about and thought about that, how, where we might want to spend some money on some interactive things. And that's where I think Teresa's looking into what a Tucker and Tucker want to do. But as far as the whole plan, I think it's a little hard to grab onto right now. And I agree. It's been something that's been burning the back of my mind for 2 years, year and a half to figure out how this is going to go, because it's so important to raise the funds to build the building. It's so important to build the building right. It's so important to involve the community. Oh my God, what's going to be in the building and how is it going to be presented, and how is it going to elevate Rufus Porter Museum? Right. That's really the key. And the only, when you say, do I have experience? I've never had experience with a whole new process like that. Recently we changed and got new display panels throughout the Portland Observatory. And so that involved taking, what we had, adding a little to it, and then just moving some things around. So this is a bigger project. And I think we need help to some extent, even if it's certainly not a big spend with Perch. I think we need somebody to help us look at that. And we also need as a group to think about, I'm sure Lori has good ideas. I'm sure Beth has great ideas. Maybe we just need to talk about who are the people who are most familiar with the museum, and how is this all going to get moved around, shifted around, and where's the emphasis in the new building? Because, it's definitely we've been spending a lot of time thinking recently, Diane and I, looking at cabinets and those things. That's really important, but like so important is what are we presenting in that building? And we've got to get it right. And we might need some additional help if we don't.
If I could, I think that getting down to Tucker and Tucker is our absolute priority. Purchase is could be an invaluable asset to us, but right now we need to know what kind of infrastructure we have to have installed to support whatever AV systems are available, whether it's exactly what we're going to use or just to give us the possibility of using these things. So right now we have to know how much additional wiring, what kind of wiring is necessary, where it has to go, because we have to route at least 90% of that under the concrete slab that we're going to pour within the next 6 weeks. So we have to have that basic infrastructure plan in hand immediately. So I think that Tucker and Tucker can give us an overview that Perch will then be able to work within to give us the actual display usage stuff. But right now, I think Tucker and Tucker is an absolute necessity and immediately.
Diane?
We have paid money to them already, and I on the building committee have no idea what they have actually provided us. I mean, I don't know what we have spent on them, but I would think at this point they've had our plan. They must have a plan on electrical service to any room that we have. I mean, electricity is not going to change over the years. It's going to be the technology that changes.
Can I say that I think what we first need to do is sit down sometime next week with the Perch plans, go over them and decide what we want and can afford at this point.
I agree. I have seen nothing.
Absolutely.
And then we go to Tucker and Tucker and say,
Okay.
this is what we're thinking. And they have a relationship with Perch. I just think that that's the scenario that we need.
Well, just have to emphasize the time. You know,
Exactly.
we've been slogging away at this for 2 years with it in the nebulous future somewhere. Now we're down to crunch time.
So why don't we
Absolutely,
try to
Dave.
get that initial meeting maybe towards the end of next week, and then get an appointment with Tucker and Tucker the week after to get down there and get it
Perfect.
done.
Perfect, Therese. Perfect.
So I'm gonna send around an email, and anybody who's interested, please respond, and let's set a date. And I'm sorry about the dogs. It's dogland here.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, I think that's a good plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, Teresa's gone. So what's next?
I'm sorry.
Camp
It's the
Adventure?
dog.
I don't know.
Yeah, there are other committees. Anything more about exhibits, Beth?
No, I think we talked about it and we're doing it. We're not quite finished, but we'll get there.
Okay, and I also want to know, Madeline, you put a ton of time into giving us your report, and I'm just overwhelmed with all the detail and so much that you're doing. Your head must be spinning. I'd like to meet with you on some of these categories to see, can we sort of delegate this out? Is there more pat time? Anyhow, can you and I look this over a little bit more closely to see if we can make your life a little bit easier?
Madeline, are we all helping enough?
I'm not sure how I can
Or too
delegate
much?
more. I'm starting to feel the pinch. Like I'm feeling like I need to start delegating events and education things, planning the house tour to other people, because things are taking a lot of time, and I'm going to start dropping plates because as we get closer to opening, there's a lot more happening. And that's one of those areas. I'm going to contact Pat today to see how much experience she has with memberships. I think she was doing that. Maybe I'll just put those envelopes in a pile for her to come in and do on a Thursday. But I need to know, because if she knows how to do it, I can delegate it. But if I have to teach her, that's wasting my time.
I went through this and put Pat's name beside some things, and some that I also had questions about. You know, were you thinking you had to do some of the activities when maybe they actually should be going elsewhere? So could we look at that?
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it's going to get pretty crazy. And I also want to have an in-depth discussion with you about intern and how we're going to do the supervision with the intern.
Exactly. Like that
will be on us soon.
That's like next week. That's going to start happening. So
right.
I'd like to talk to you. Maybe I don't know about today, or I know we usually meet on Wednesdays, but this is taking up a lot of time. We're nowhere near done, and I am leaving to go to a doctor's appointment in Portland. So
yeah, so not today, but call me and we'll sit down with this, and then we'll be knocking on other people's doors to pick up some of this. Any other reports that your report, David?
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. The big deal is obviously the foundation is in and 90% backfilled. Eric has installed you'll notice there's wooden frames spread throughout the foundation. Those are where the posts are going to land from the post and beam structure. It gives extra support. So those will be filled with concrete, and then the rest of the foundation will be backfilled up to a level, and then finally the slab will be poured. But before the slab gets poured, we have to install all the electrical conduit, the water lines, the sewer line, drainage. Drainage is already in, but there's a lot more detail that has to go in. Then we have to install wire mesh support for the slab, and then all the tubing for the radiant heat, and then finally pour the slab. So one of the things that Eric suggested that you might want to do is when you're down at the museum is very carefully walk out to the back wall that faces the stream and take a look at the view we're going to have out the back there, facing towards the stream and the theater. It's going to be really nice back there. And when you do go out there, consider that the finished floor is going to be about 14 inches above where you're standing on the sand as it is right now. So it's going to be even better. So we have continued to try to make decisions about all the thousands of details that go into it. One of the big ones was the propane tank placement. We needed additional propane storage and volume to include the new building, and we had looked at very closely at buying and installing underground tanks, and that was turning out to be, one, very, very expensive, and two, we were having trouble locating an appropriate position for them that would work. We thought that we would put it on the front lawn, but for a variety of reasons, we decided that that's probably not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to install tanks on the back wall at our near where we had them the tanks before. We're going to have 2 clusters of 3 tanks each, and they will be enclosed in a period appropriate fencing to shield the view of them from everybody, but particularly our next door neighbors. We have worked out an electrical access to the new building, which included drilling a hole in the basement wall for the church house and running conduit over from the church house into the new building and into the mechanical room. We've worked out a system for running a water line from the Webb house, and we've accessed through the basement wall of the Webb house, and then we'll have a trench over to the new building and into the building from there. Let's see what else. There's about, as I said, thousands and thousands of little details that Eric is dealing with every day, but it's really coming along, and I'm very impressed with the foundation work that was done, and all of the backfilling and compacting and the perimeter drains and blah blah blah. So I invite you to go down and walk out there and take a look at that view and feel reassured that along the back of that lean-to, we're going to have, it's going to be 4 large windows along the back and one going on the back wall. And it's going to be a very nice addition to the whole place to have that view out the back. Okay, the Building and Design Committee has been continued to meet, and we're making all kinds of decisions regarding a lot of finished details. we've picked out flooring tiles, interior and exterior doors, cabinets, countertops, hardware, windows, appliances, first floor ceiling treatment. We're talking about the pedestal for the stairs, for the exhibit, you name it. Like I said, it seems like thousands of details, but we will have Diana's going to put together a display for the party, showing some of the things that we wanted, that we'll be doing. And we'll continue to meet and talk about all of those things. Now, what?
I just wanted to thank Diane and Peg have done a tremendous amount of time looking at things and shopping and everything. And everybody's going to get a chance to look at these recommendations. I think they've made some wonderful choices, and I'm anxious for everybody
they're
to
not
see
recommendations. They're the final decision.
Yep.
I mean, we need to make. We've got to make that clear.
And I would say, and at least as important as the choices, is that they have driven some great discounts for us. So we're coming in. Roy will be glad to hear that we're coming in well under our allowance for a lot of those items.
We've done a lot of real shopping, if you remember.
Yep.
Are we getting any discount from Hancock with the deals that came?
The amazing thing is that their bid for the cabinets was less than anybody else, and nobody's talking about it. Everybody else was talking about discounts. They were not, but we're starting to get the feeling that somebody said something somewhere, and every time we go there, we seem to get a good deal. I don't think they're advertising any percentage or any of that like other places were, but they consistently, for the same product, come in below even Lowe's, right, Peg?
Yeah, yeah. And all it said in their quote, the Hancock quote, which was significantly lower, that it included all discounts. So like Diane said, I think it's not a stated, we're never going to get a stated percentage off, but that's okay if we're getting good deals. So
and because we had that feeling, I didn't want to say, yeah, and how about a local discount or something? I mean, I think we need to, people have gone to talk to them. The very first time I went in there, we had an account. I mean, I think we should just be quiet with Hancock. I don't know what else we're buying from them, but when you shop, keep that in the back of your mind that I think they're discounting for us all the time.
I think we're going to have a more definite discussion with them, especially when it comes to the ceiling, the first floor ceiling, because
maybe so. But if you shop around, I mean, if you only go there, you'll know.
Well, what I'm hoping is that they are holding towards something that was said verbally that we're not sure. And we're still trying to get Erin Plummer. She's very elusive. That if they manufacture the items that could be donated, that would be a significant savings if we could get the pine shiplap ceiling for the first floor donated from them. So we just need to get over there. I'm about ready to go over and ask if I can just make an appointment to come back and meet with her, because she doesn't call us.
Well, it's not just that either. We're talking about
windows.
We're talking about roofing, siding, windows, doors. There's a lot of materials yet to be purchased or even priced. So we will continue to try to reach this Erin Plummer and find out just what they're willing to do. So that's an ongoing effort, and we won't let that go at all.
Now,
okay,
was Plummer the person that was the mouthpiece for Mr. Hancock? Is that the one?
We were directed to her.
That's her.
She's head of marketing.
Okay.
So we will continue to find her wherever she's hiding.
She thinks Nell is coming in with us. That was a mean thing to say, but
no wonder she's hiding.
All right, next question.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Oh, I just was asking about the insurance, but you were
yes,
that's where I was going. Yeah, I've been talking to Chalmers Insurance, and we have a quote for for the builder's risk policy, which basically ensures all the materials and the building itself through the construction process. It's a 1 year. It's going to be a 1 year policy based on a value of the building of 1.6 million, and the cost is just a speck under $4,000. It protects our investment, the money that we are spending on it, on the building. I think I recommend that we go ahead and sign the policy and pay it's $3,992, I believe. It's like any other insurance policy that you buy. You don't want to spend the money, but it's an expense until it's a claim. So.
Seems like we absolutely must do this. So
Yes.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of that.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dave, if I understand correctly, it also covers the materials if they're there on site and they're stolen, damaged, anything.
Right.
Exactly. It covers us if if we get the building up and it burns to the ground. It's a comprehensive policy. I'm not an insurance expert, but I read through it and I can't find any reason not to. I spoke to Eric about it, and he said, "It's you protecting your investment."
Let's put it this way. Say something catastrophic happened. We didn't get this policy. Who's going to want to go to these big donors to say, "Oh, I'm sorry you gave us $100,000. It burned to the ground." Forget it. Yeah. We have to do it.
Yeah, I think we have to.
well, the other thing is we know that Chalmers can be trusted and that we don't even have to do.
Well, some of them are a little shady, but
yeah, I know that's heritage, but it just seems to me that we are fortunate in knowing that.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is a really
One
good
point
price.
to make is they put in a very large donation to the new building.
So there you go.
And they've sponsored just about everything we've done. So I
I
as
talked
a
to
member of the family.
Yep.
And I'm still going after them.
Yeah, I talked to Eric about it, and I told him what the premium was on it, and he was shocked because he said that in his experience, based on other projects and whatnot, that he said that from what he knew, he would have expected that premium to be somewhere around 40,000.
It's a really good price. You should just buy it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask if anybody would make a motion that we accept that.
So moved.
Second?
Yeah.
Peg seconded.
Yep.
Peg second.
All those in favor? Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should look at a couple more votes before we forget to do this in our annual meeting here. And I don't remember how we did this before. People who were extending their positions on the board, I don't remember that we did anything. Weren't they just voting on changes? Who recalls?
Might not have been anybody that was extending.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we just say, let's, I move that we we nominate our board to be as follows. President Treese Johnson, Vice President.
Beth?
Is it Beth? Beth, you're still on board. Treasurer will be Roy Gadat. Secretary, Diane. Okay.
Moved.
That's it. That was just a four executive board.
Does everybody approve of those?
Can we get a second? Peg second. Okay, any discussion?
I just want to say maybe someone else would prefer to be vice president. And
Good luck.
I open that as a possibility.
Okay, anybody want to be vice president?
Put all those hands.
Okay.
I was thinking Linda would step forward at that point.
Well, what is the job? Like, it's just my first few years here. It's with the gallery. What's the job like? How much time?
Go have coffee with Beth.
Do it for another year, Beth. Do it for another year.
Yes, that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
So the notes are going to definitely reflect the change that we have to get up to the bank, which is Deb stepping over and Roy taking over as treasurer, because I think that in the minutes, we're going to have to tease out
We
the
have
bank.
to vote on this.
Yes, when we vote on it. Let's
Okay,
finish the vote. Yeah.
Any other discussion? None.
No,
Okay,
Diane, do you have something to say?
No, my name's already on the card. I was just.
yep,
Okay.
okay. So all in favor? Raise your hand. Okay,
Thank you.
Could we just back up just a second and thank Deb for her part of the foundation for providing her nephew.
Oh, well, I just wrote, I'm going to send him a thank you note.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, yes.
And thank you from us for this long-term relationship.
Well, he's a sweetheart. If I needed another son, he'd be mine.
Well, has he said anything good about us or worse?
Oh, I think he likes us. I mean, look what, you know, the big thing is we need to acknowledge anything that we get from people who donate their time.
absolutely.
I mean, he puts the tree in every Christmas. He does, you know, anytime we need a good, strong young man with a crane truck, we go to H3.
So he also puts up with a lot of sidewalk supervisors too.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I remember talking to Dyer about the septic system, and he said, "I'm not touching that on Main Street. No way," and walked away. So there's a lot of that going on.
And the only thing I can tell you, if you want to thank him, send him a note, because if he doesn't know your phone number, he won't answer the phone because he's too busy.
I want to refer back to some business that Madeline sent along, and there are 3 different areas, Madeline: QuickBooks, the gifts.
Oh, wait,
did we vote? I'm sorry.
Are we there yet?
Okay, all right. And the Peter Lewis proposal, could we touch on those before we?
Well, I've got him on the hook for when it's time for that, but I thought we have old business before new business.
Okay. Any other old business right now? I just wanted to make sure that I didn't disregard those.
Okay. Yeah.
Inclusions. Anything else in old business, or I think we're kind of in new business already. Do you want to explain the Peter Lewis proposal a little bit, Madeline, so we can clarify that?
Because there's other things in front of it. What's the Allen proposal?
Forget that. That's an error. That's Peter.
Okay.
I gave him a new name.
I'll text him once we get through the other 2 things I have.
Okay.
So he's got the link to come on. I'll let him present it, but you all received everything that I've gotten from him yet. And I had time between the last board meeting and this board meeting for any of you to reach out to him. And he said nobody did. So he's just going to come on and explain his piece.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't know what to ask at this point. It's not because I'm not interested, but I really need an overview before I can.
I do too, Diane.
I mean, I wasn't ignoring you, and I perhaps should have said that to you, but I don't know enough to ask questions.
Well, the proposal was sent out when Carla was still here. Carla sent the proposal to the board.
I agree, but I mean, I need to.
Okay, he'll come on. Let me get through what I need to do.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need to hear it.
No.
So the two discussions I need to ask are fairly simple and are related. But the first one about the gift shop in Square. Carla had a belief that we didn't need to delete anything off of Square that we no longer had in stock. And it's making inventory a little confusing because I keep getting emails about things that they say we need to restock and they're not there. We don't carry them. Do you all have any opinions about keeping past items versus deleting the items in Square?
Delete them.
Is there a way to put them in
Get
a
rid of
folder?
them.
Put them in a folder of some sort? No? Okay.
I would delete them from Square, and I would keep access to them for your own information in case you choose to carry them again, set up the same.
Exactly.
So I
Diane?
Well, I mean, I make things regularly, but they do go out of stock. And when I get around to doing some more, I bring them. I don't know how that would fit in.
Consignment items, I'm not concerned about. There's things like a 9-inch bowl.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
there's things that are completely irrelevant and they're just taking up space.
Yeah.
I get you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Do we need to vote on this?
No.
No.
Okay, this is one of the things that I can give Ollie to do. You know, this is a task. The second
Good.
one is more related to the treasurer, QuickBooks. QuickBooks has some issues. I ran Roy through them. He saw them. He has no understanding of why QuickBooks is doing it, but it's glitching. And as a result, I did some research into our vendor contact list, and the same thing is going on in the vendor contact list as in Square. We have 10 pages of vendors, and I don't know if you can see the highlights on this. Of those 10 pages, every page has irrelevant vendors still on here.
Get rid of them.
I can tell you what goes on there. So if you have vendors you've used in the past, and you've even made them inactive, right? You can just say inactive vendors. It doesn't let you actually delete any chart of accounts or vendors or customers completely. They just go inactive. So when you go to make the report, you have to put a column there and say, I only want the active folks. And there's a couple of different things that happens with. And so you don't have to see those guys anymore if you ask it to
Customizing the report.
active, exactly, active vendors only.
So make inactive.
So Linda, if you had a chance, could you stop in and
Absolutely.
go over that with Madeline? Would that work, Madeline, from your
I
end?
would love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime.
In the
Good.
vendors that I saw, I mean, I might be able to figure out how to make them
Yeah,
inactive.
you'll
But
see.
in that, sorry, I've got to go alphabetical order. P, Q. I'll have to find it in a circle. There it is. In here, Roy, I found a vendor called the QuickBooks Doctor in Bridgeton, PO Box 605 in Bridgeton with a phone number. Was that the person that you had to train Carla?
No, I found somebody that came in 2 or 3 times. We can work on this. We'll find a consultant that will be our QuickBooks consultant.
Okay.
But I would just say for the time being, if Linda can help you to deal with this vendor issue. I mean, I've already just poking around in terms of how to set up a vendor, because don't you have a problem setting up Eric as a full vendor? He doesn't show up on the vendor list.
That's one of the things that's one of the glitches that I don't understand in QuickBooks. And
That I
QuickBooks
don't
is glitching in a
understand.
number of ways. Linda, I don't know if I mentioned it to you or to everybody. It's renumbering my checks. And Roy witnessed it. I ran a check in front of him. It was check number 1500. Done, printed, said okay, go to the bank register. It's listed as 1501. So now it's duplicating things, and it's duplicating
Last
things.
month, there were 8 or 9 checks that we had to renumber.
And it's not hard. Now I just know to go back to the register and renumber them after I cut checks. But yesterday there was 10 checks I had to renumber. So, okay, I'm going to text Peter Lewis to come on.
Okay.
But I am concerned as we transfer into a new year and everything going on that QuickBooks is not working correctly. I don't know what else I'm missing. And
we can look at the whole thing. I mean, I used to write those database platforms for big corporations. And so
put a star after her name.
no, I'm lying.
And she's on the board.
So what they're doing is they think they're protecting you by making things happen automatically that you have no control over and then can't find what to do with it.
Yep.
Very typical. And they give you no way to get backwards. So what I always have to do is just like, okay, how can I do a hack around this so I don't have to see these vendors or my mailing list? It's like, well, how do I get rid of these people who I put the address in wrong or whatever? So it's always just a matter of kind of looking at what's happening and go, why is that happening? And then go find it. But because I'm a programmer, it'd be a lot easier for me.
Well, I'd love to have you take a look. And, it also thinks it's smart, it does. My daily review, it's using a customer from a week prior when I know that it was, Barbara Yates, I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you picking a name out of the ether?
So that's why big companies who have lots of money can pay people like me to go do accounting systems for them.
Okay. Well, I'd love to have you come take a look.
That's great.
So Peter Lewis has joined us. I think you had his proposal end of March, and he's here to just talk to us about it.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Do we want to introduce ourselves?
Can you hear us, Peter?
I can, yes, I can hear you just fine.
I would love an overview of this if that's appropriate. An overview.
Of my proposal?
Yes.
Well, I reached out to Madeline and Carla and suggested that perhaps I could do some work for you guys to help promote the museum and document the new building projects that you're doing. I'm happy to provide still imagery and video production. And the hope was to help you raise meet your goal, your fundraising goal quickly, and perhaps create a short documentary video that you can use to finish this goal and promote future fundraising efforts.
And this is for free?
No.
Oh, that's what I'm worrying about. Yeah.
Worrying about?
Well, I think that we were confused, like if you were doing this out of, your generosity and just wanted to do that, or because I don't think I remember seeing a cost structure. So maybe it was there and I missed it.
It certainly was. Did you guys see the PDF that I sent then, Madeline?
I'm going to resend it right now.
Okay. Yes, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. Yeah, it included a detailed breakdown of all the costs at the end.
I'm a new member.
The bottom line is 13,200, right?
Okay.
That was pie in the sky, like shooting for the moon type thing. But if you look through the proposal, you'll see there's lots of ways of modifying this. You can do it sort of an a la carte thing. You can pick and choose whatever you'd like me to do. And I'm certainly willing to, and already have been providing Madeline with still photography from the job site to help for absolutely nothing. And I'm happy to continue doing that. For images you can use in the newspaper or to send out to potential people who are donating, or just to catch up with your members. So I'm happy to continue to do the still photography for nothing. I just live down the road. I can come by anytime. But the proposal was really more focused on creating a video documentary of this building project that you guys are doing. And I realized that the proposal number is pretty big, but that can be scaled to whatever size you want, whatever your budget allows.
Okay, I just sent both proposals, the initial and the follow-up. So I sent it
thank
to the
you.
board.
Madeline, would it be possible for you to share that? Is it open on your screen? Can you share it instead of all of us going to our email to find it, or just that way?
Yeah.
We're not gonna make a decision right now.
Let me find it. Let me open it first and then I'll share it.
Okay, thank you.
Discuss it.
In the meantime, thank you for all those still photographs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is the draft proposal. Okay, hold on. Let me go back and share my screen.
So part of what I want to do, a little background on me while you're waiting for the image to pop up, is I've lived in the area for 35 years and I've been doing photography the entire time. And what I want to focus on now is working within my community. And I'm willing to be very generous with pro bono work to an extent. My wife and I really want to support projects in our local community. But I'd also like to be able to afford eggs and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
So I remember I did see this proposal and I think it's fantastic. I just don't know where I got the idea that, you know, now I'm looking at it, right? I think what we would have to, we have so much money right now, this is just me talking, to put out in the building. And this is supporting that effort. That I would say that's like more than we can do, and suggest maybe we look at it and see what we might do, because it always helps to get out there with some kind of film, so to speak.
Sure.
I would agree with you, Linda.
Well, and as I said, we can scale this to whatever makes you feel comfortable in terms of the scope of the project and the cost. And I'm totally willing to work with you on that.
Okay.
And I think we need to talk as a board about how we would use this. I mean, we're talking, I mean, I get to the 6-minute video, which I think will be really fun, but what are we going to actually do with this ourselves? Right. You know, I mean, how are we going to use this as a tool to promote the museum and perhaps raise the more money that we need to complete the project?
And 6 minutes is a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think one way that you can look at maybe reducing the cost to something more reasonable, if this is beyond your scope, is to think how much you can cram into a couple of minutes. You can get so much information in a couple of minutes. And let's face it, these days, people's attention spans are pretty short anyway. So maybe scale it back. And I think it would be helpful now to help you reach your overall fundraising goal quicker. And certainly this is not the last time Rufus Porter does a fundraising for a project. So if we structured it correctly, I think it could be useful the next time you want to raise money, to raise awareness and generate interest and enthusiasm.
Peter, do you have like a short, what you described, a short couple minute video that you've done in the past that you would be able to share? Because I think if we get that, we'll get our arms around it and better think about what we might do.
Sure. Actually, I can send you guys, I've recently done some videos for the Greater Level Land Trust and for another local business in town here, Northeast Custom Trailers. I could send you those links to those videos, and they're in the 2 to 3 minute range for the most part.
Thank you.
If that would be helpful, I'll send those links to Madeline, and then she can pass them on.
Thank you.
Sure.
Does anybody know how long our video is that we show in the museum that we got?
I don't know.
Is it 11 or 16 for some reason is sticking in my head, but I don't know if that's accurate.
It's pretty long.
Is it? Okay.
Are you talking the Bill Green's main one?
Yep.
Yeah. It's all of 11.
Can I add something that I used a portion of that video when I went over to the school with the school children last fall, and my husband helped me, and we just put together 2 minutes of that. And it did contain a lot of information, and with like that, the attention span of the children, it was just the right thing and just the right amount. And I was surprised how much was in 2 minutes, if that helps at all.
It does.
Thank you.
And think kind of even more micro, maybe instead of, or in addition to, you can get a lot in just 30 seconds. Maybe to help get the last few tens of thousands of dollars raised, we do a couple of 30-second promos. I mean, basically anything you can think of, we can probably do. And you can get a lot of information out quickly. So it doesn't have to be this grand, you know, IMAX documentary that I had hoped for. As much fun as that might be.
Well, where would we show this? I mean, how would we, what are your suggestions for using this? I need a lot of help here.
I think that's a Madeline question, probably.
Okay.
Well, I could see it being, you know, an AV interactive in the new building, like a short still of like, here's, you know, starts with, you know, whatever, and then just you see it build up in a quick little video. And that could be, I mean, there's any number of things we can do. I mean, Peter's been sending me pictures that I've been using on social media and in the newsletters. So there's so many different things that it could be done. It could be, you know, Linda, if you're going to start the, not GoFundMe, but whatever site you're using, it could be there, you know, it could be on there to help us to the next step, help us get these murals out of the basement.
One of the things we could do, I know this is a timber frame structure, so there's going to be, when the time comes to raise that structure, those actually go up very quickly. And can you imagine, we'll do an entire day time lapse. So in 20 seconds, you see the whole frame go up. Things like that might be interesting for people who are just visiting the museum and wonder how the building came about. There's endless possibilities.
So Peter, it seems to me that a short video would take just as much time, if not more, than a longer one, but it costs less.
There are economies of scale, so you're right in a sense, but certainly shorter takes less overall effort than longer. So, yeah.
Well, the editing part, I'm sure.
Yeah, I spend an awful lot of time in front of the computer. Yeah, it's a lot easier to make a 2-minute video than a 6-minute video.
Well, I think we should figure out, you know, what we might do. I for one think it's a great vehicle. 30 seconds, 2 minutes, however it works out. I think what Peter is saying, show me what you want to do, and he's going to sharpen his pencil. And I don't know when and where, how we have that conversation, but maybe the next meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Don't we need to get moving here if we're going to do
Yeah, I don't think we can wait till the next meeting. I think we have to make some decisions before our next meeting.
That's a question I have. I know some of these committees, sorry, Peter, real quick question so I can understand, are every week. The board of directors is once a month, board of trustees.
Right.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, that's not what I meant. Soon.
So we have a little bit of a window here because of the fact that John Libby has pushed back when the Postal and Beam is going to happen. That's July. I'm not saying we delay, but it's not like they're coming in a week and we have to say, what are we going to do? They've pushed us back a little bit, but I think we need to get together and have a meeting, look over once we get all this information and go over it more thoroughly and decide what we're going to do in the short term. But we're not quite as stressed because I love the idea of, you know, the Post and Beam video, but that's not going to happen right away.
Could we have that discussion when we are meeting for the perch thing?
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
So everybody has to review this information.
Yeah. So we need to review all this, and the perch meeting would be towards the end of next week. Piggyback that on.
So Peter, you just have to understand we have so much going on that if we put yours aside, it wasn't that we weren't impressed. It's just one more thing.
No, that's fine. I spent 5 years as a nonprofit executive working with boards, so I'm completely understand what you guys are up against.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want a job?
Unless it pays really, really well. No, I don't think so.
No, forget it.
but something understanding how boards work and how decisions are made and how all this budgeting stuff works is something I'm certainly willing to do. Is while we're waiting, I can still come by the job site and still continue to take photos and perhaps even start shooting some video in anticipation of something we may do down the road. So we don't lose lose the opportunity to grab stuff.
Okay.
I'm completely
Well,
happy.
that'd be, we'd appreciate that. It's, I mean, this is a real chicken and egg sort of thing. I mean, as is most of this project, you know, what do we do for, I mean, everything depends on something else. So
Sure.
that's a nice suggestion.
Well, and I'm happy to do it. That way we've got stuff in kind of in the bank account down the road. You can do whatever you like, and we haven't lost the opportunity to grab some cool images or footage.
Right. Oh, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will review this and
Thank you.
we'll get going on it, and we will be in touch.
No,
Great.
it's great. It's a great idea, and it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And feel free to reach out by email. And if there's any questions I can answer, or if you'd like me to rework a proposal based on different parameters, just let me know.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
we will do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Madeline, for facilitating
Very
this.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Peter.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
So the board has some homework. I'd ask everybody to review all of his proposal, look at some of the things he's done before, and then as we get together and discuss what we think might be appropriate, then we can get back to him and make a decision.
I forwarded you
But
2 emails, his initial proposal and his follow-up proposal.
Right.
And I know
So,
he's flexible, you know, he just,
yep, absolutely.
You know,
And he-
even, and we could pay it if we decide, I'm not, there's no judgment, I'm outside the box right now, but if he is taking these films and all these videos, if down the line we want it as a display in the museum, we could hire him to do that if we have the film. If we don't have the film, then we wouldn't be able to do that, you know.
Right.
Yep.
and this, just remember also, this was one of the last big advertising projects Carla started. So this came organically from the chamber, and Peter and I actually spoke at Stella's for the chamber event. Was it last week? So this all came out of the chamber relationship. So it's, I think it's important to support that too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, because I would just quickly want to ask people that groundbreaking is coming at us very soon. And what do we need to do in communication with the chamber? I know we have the hats. I know we have the 11 o'clock. We have various people, I believe, Madeline, that are going to show up in the newspaper and so forth. What are the other ends that we have to tie together for the groundbreaking?
Who's in charge?
Did you get shovels?
No, we decided just to bring some shovels from home.
Okay, because they had beautiful new shovels all lined up outside of Rennie's the other day.
Yeah,
I thought Roy was in charge. I thought Roy was in charge of this.
Okay.
Obviously not, but I will talk to Angie tonight about this. And
Angie's coming.
She'll be
Okay. I don't think there's a lot to do. I've got a confirmation back from Aaron Nelson from the bank. They're definitely going to be there. So I did get that confirmation back. I don't think there's a lot to do. Just the specifics. Do they set up anything, or what do we have to do that morning?
Bob Peabody, is he coming?
Bob Peabody is coming. I was waiting for a moment. He responded later, but Bob Peabody and the deputy community development.
Okay, good.
I sent out a press release on Monday. I sent out an e-blast on Monday. And the only unfortunate outcome is I think we confused somebody that responded for the preview party that they couldn't come because they're not in Bridgeton yet, but referred to it as the groundbreaking. So hopefully the messages didn't get mixed up, you know, that we're being clear enough about the preview party versus the groundbreaking, but.
Okay. It is what it is, huh?
Could I interject something here? Because Peg and I are doing the training for all the volunteers May 26th from 10 to 1, correct, Peg?
Yeah.
Correct.
Just it's an announcement.
Yep.
When there's a
So that one's still waiting. Okay, all right.
RSVPs are coming in pretty.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
I have about 10 people I haven't heard from. as to whether they're going to be there out of like 33. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
We have about 18 people coming. There are some
Volunteers.
who we knew wouldn't be back in town yet, but you know, that's okay. And we'll have to decide if we need to do it a second time. But the objective has been to get the exhibits done, the exhibit labels up. And the other objective, I think, is to get revisions to the docent manual completed before that May 26th date. So that's what we're plugging along on.
Excuse me, I have to leave for a doctor's appointment. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Judy.
So if any of you on the board here haven't yet RSVP'd, if you could, I'm just trying to keep a head count. Many
26.
Many of you have already said if you're coming, but if you
Joe and I will be there. Can you just write it down?
Yeah,
I'll forget as soon as I get off the meeting.
Yeah, I'll do that, Diane. Thank you.
And Peg, I won't be able to come that day. So I didn't tell you that, but since you're here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Peg, but what's the timing on that?
10 to 1.
10 to 1. I'll be there.
All right, awesome.
Are you
Believe I
providing
signed
lunch?
up.
No, we're having snacks.
Okay.
We went around the pizza thing and then we dropped that plan because
Do you need contributions to that?
I would like it. I was planning on baking something, bringing coffee, bottled water. I don't know yet what, if you're able to, that would be lovely. I appreciate it. Okay. Let me know what you
want. Well, I can make a batch of iced tea if you want.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, then I won't get the coffee. Maybe we'll have iced tea and water.
Well, you could have a choice.
Yeah. Well, last time we did this last year, the refreshments that I brought were super excessive. And so I really don't want to make it that complicated. I would like to have down the road, once we're further into the season, everybody's in town. I would like to have a dedicated meeting for the volunteers that includes people from the board to have more discussions about what the vision is going forward. This year, we're trying to get off the ground. Here's where some new exhibit items are. We're going to be opening. Here's the sign up calendar. But I'd like to discuss with them what their expectations are once we have a third building and we've made changes to how the tour format goes, the scheduling goes. I think that's a discussion we have to have. I don't think we're ready. But so I think at that meeting, maybe we could have a more elaborate lunch, whatever kind of thing.
Right.
Let's just do this, have some refreshments and catch up. And
well, I'll help you with that.
Okay. Well, if you can, that would be great. And I think that's the plan at this point. And so the other thing is, can we, before we all sign off today, can we pick a date, time for that perch meeting? Because
okay.
Get it on the calendar, which is getting kind of wonky here. So
no, that's a good idea if we can do that. I'm looking at Thursday. I don't know. Other people, what do you think?
What's that date?
25th.
That would be I have the 25th because 26 is really loaded up, right?
Yeah.
23rd,
I can't do the 25th, but you don't need me for that.
I can do the 25th.
Well, for the perch meeting, I think we do. So
I'm totally booked that whole day.
I know, yeah.
I can do the 25th.
I can't.
Do we have something already on the 24th? I have a crazy calendar here. A week from today?
Really, I think you've got to do it without me because 24th I have to work that whole day too. I'll be in Augusta, so I can't. It's fine. I can't do everything, and you guys, I trust whatever you guys decide, so that's fine.
Let's do it on the 25th. Who couldn't come on the 25th? I don't remember.
That would be.
I can't come that week. Period.
Well, let's do the 25th. What time? Whoever can come, please come. Can anybody come by Zoom if they can't be there?
Everybody,
I'm going to ask you a favor then, Roy. I want you to review again, as I know you have perch, and throw out by email just any observations that we should be aware of. Because we don't want to do a bunch of work and really miss anything.
It's just going to be my opinion anyway, but
That's
and
fine.
It's not going to be that informed. So
All right,
I'll write an email, but please,
Okay.
everybody that gets it, take it for what it is.
that's fine. That's certainly a lot better than nothing, you know? Let's do that. What, so the 25th, timing for that? And I'll have to
9 or
send this to
10.
Judy. I have no idea what Judy's,
9 or 10, maybe.
9 a.m.?
Yeah.
And this is gonna be Perch, sort of a pre-visit to Tucker and Tucker, as well as Peter Lewis.
And we're doing
Is
this.
this a Zoom? Is this on Zoom, Judy?
I think we're going to meet, weren't we?
And this meeting is, the
Okay.
board meeting is over now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any concerns before we wrap up, Roy? It's a very
No.
long meeting, but there's just so
No.
much going on.
No.
Are we meeting personally at the museum?
I think I'd like to meet in person at the museum. Does that work?
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think it
that's
would
good.
make sense.
At 9 o'clock then.
At 9 a.m.
Okay, perfect.
How
Okay.
many people are able to make that appointment?
Me?
Okay. All right. Very good. Anything else we should do after this very long meeting?
Take
We
a
should
nap.
pledge to keep our meetings to 2 hours after this.
Yeah, well, I think we're beginning to really suffer for lack of a director in some ways as well, but not to say that there's an awful lot going on too. So we will be getting back to you with anything on Matt too,
Okay.
as that's going to happen later this week.
Hey, Tracy, can you forward he must have resubmitted his resume or no?
Yeah, I thought that went around. You didn't get it?
If
I don't
did,
remember seeing it.
I don't
I
think
don't remember seeing it either.
Okay, all right. We'll circulate Matt's.
Okay. Thank you.
Definitely before we all get together on that. Anything else? We have the meeting for next week. I'm going to meet with Madeline.
Review this, Peter Lewis.
Which candidate is that? And that is 10-1, right, on Tuesday?
Oh,
Lena,
the first candidate is Lena, and she is on the 23rd.
Yeah.
The second candidate is next week, and that is KC, the 31st. And then on the 18th in the afternoon, the search committee is going to meet by Zoom with Matt.
All right, are they all 10-1?
Yeah, the two in persons are 10-1.
Okay.
So if you keep all of this in your head, you're really doing good. You're not nearly as old as you thought you were.
I'm writing it down.
I meant everybody, not just me, not just you.
Teresa and Beth, we got emails just now from the chamber saying they changed the venue of their event tonight to the Bear Mountain Inn.
To the Bear Mountain Inn, really?
Yeah, the place was flooded.
I know,
Oh,
but then
no.
they were going to do the other pavilion. Anyway, that's great.
The Bear Mountain Inn at 5 o'clock. No, I'm not
6
5
o'clock.
o'clock. 6 o'clock. So
Bear Mountain Inn in Waterford.
Beth, why don't you come up here and meet me here then?
okay, what time?
20 or 6 or something like that.
And does it only take 20 minutes to get there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
short
Oh,
run.
it's
Shut.
just the other side of North.
It's
North
close. It's
Western.
close. So I'll see you about 20 or 6. I can drive if you want me to.
No, I'll pick you, I'll get there and I can drive. I'm
Okay.
just
All
happy
right,
to
I'll
have
see-
someone
Okay.
with me.
I'll see you then. So everybody go lay down and take a nap now.
Kidding.
Not you, Madeline. Oh, Madeline, you have something else?
I just have a quick question for Deb. I'm not going to end it till, but you guys can, we can adjourn if you want, but I just have a
Okay,
question for Deb.
thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Deb, when's the next events and education meeting? Because I feel like we need it sooner than the day after the board meeting.
Tomorrow.
Isn't it tomorrow?
It's tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
I'm not thinking. I was talking about May. No, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Would you like it earlier than tomorrow?
No,
Madeline, go ahead and take that nap, please.
Yeah, all right. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Okay, yeah, it's
I'm running
9
the meeting.
o'clock, not 8. All right, I'm leaving now. I don't want to
Bye-bye.
hear any more.
I'm ending the meeting.